5 different kinds of antibiotics, 2 different types of penicillin, and the infection is still growing. It's interesting. So it's, and he's still, I mean, he is concerned, but I'm surprised at the level of calmness that he's expressing at this, because that's so unlike him. But yeah, I just saw a lot of extremes, a lot of contrast there with everything I see. I don't know how to express it any differently.
But you're feeling more or less sort of centered and calm right now, just even though. Great.
Absolutely. Definitely, I realize that it's definitely all coming from the heart chakra. Absolutely. There is just a flowing, awesome feeling, really a great feeling from there. And it just seems like the things that are bombarding around really isn't all that affecting. It's like more like a gliding through it all, I guess. I don't know how else to express it. It's beautiful though.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. Now I am hearing some ambient noise, and I have been muting people, but I'm going to go next to Elise, and I'm going to unmute her. But just as kind of good manners, if we would all be muted while Elise is speaking, that would be really great. So Michelle, I'm going to mute you now. Thank you for sharing. And then give me a second, Elise, and then I'm going to unmute you. And now we should be able to hear you. So, hi.
Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing? I feel it's very similar to what Michelle was saying. Despite all these things around me, I'm very centered and at peace. I've been doing a lot of meditations, which has been great. I've been experiencing some issues with my body, which has, your essences have been doing great to help me with that. So I'm really happy with that. You know, I'm doing this shadow work, and I'm seeing this whole collective shadow in my neighborhood just literally come knocking at my door. And I'm able to just stay centered and grounded. And, you know, it just becomes a question of when people are knocking at your door asking for help, what do you do? You know? And so the other day I found myself in it with this little autistic boy. And, you know, I had just come off an all night of doing the liquid light meditation, and I somehow got in this frequency of these shamans, because when I was in massage school, I was studying with them, and man, it was the most beautiful experience. How I got there, it was just meant to be, because I went back to look for it and I couldn't find it. And it was these different native healers from everywhere around the world. And also I had my first experience with a sheikh, who was friends with this shaman.
Okay, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. So you're going probably outside of the scope of what we want to talk about, because there are other people here.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I'm just saying, yeah, I've been infiltrated by the neighbors Team Dark, and being able to stay centered and hold that while all this was happening, it just kind of gave me a level of understanding of the energy, the frequency of this darkness that has like enveloped the planet, and how I was able to stay centered. But it caused my heart to beat a little bit when I watched some things happen, you know, with a little boy who was able to manifest his energy and hurl it at a semi-truck, hurl a tire iron at a semi-truck and break it. And I was like, and I had spent 6 hours with him, working with him from my heart center. And that kind of threw me back a little bit. That was like, whoa. So it just kind of gave me an awareness of the power of what's going on right now while I was staying centered.
Okay, great. Let me stop you there. Let's highlight that moment of a boy, the body of a boy, of an autistic boy, the body of an autistic boy, then engaging in a behavior that went beyond what would normally think possible for an autistic boy in a body. So just boom, highlight that one, because that's a really beautiful example of some of the reality that's around us. Michelle has shared that her husband right now is struggling with an infection that can't be diagnosed. They can't figure out what it is. I can tell you from the work that I've been doing a couple things, which we'll go into later, but make a note of that. When that's a reality that's happening for a group of people, okay? And we're going to look at how we're engaging and having these realities intersect with where we are, and how, and we're going to be responding to those dynamics, but not in any way try to be responsible for a level of fixing things at the atomic, molecular, cellular, biochemical level, which we will not be able to fix, because that is the unblending. The unblending is that there are going to be things arising that are not from our sense of, even as individuals, we will not be able to fix or heal. As a collective, we're still making a contribution to how things are going to unfold. Thank you, Elise. I can imagine, I can visualize what that moment was. And yeah, so thank you for sharing that, because this is really important for us to get different glimpses of what people are having come into their reality space and what that could mean for them, and then how do you respond to that? Okay, I'm going to mute Elise. And then Cal, I'm going to unmute you. And if you want to speak, just say hi and carry on.
Hello. I don't know how to do my picture. So.
Okay, let me see if I could do that for you. Sometimes I can. We'd love to see.
Okay.
I'm going to ask, there's going to be a request for you to start your video.
Okay, I'm going to.
And if you look down, there you are. Okay, easily done.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. So for me, I'm very, very blessed at this time because I live on an acre. It's just a beautiful sight to be there. So for me, my daily life hasn't been uprooted very much. On another level, the spiritual side, it's calling in all those modalities since I was born, really. I mean, when I was, the whole, like all of you, I'm no question. And so it's kind of being in the world, but not of it, and holding space. And I love solving mysteries. I love it. So I'm down the rabbit hole a lot. And then I go, okay, let's pull it back. And how much energy do I want to give to this, right? And so I find myself going, okay, being curious, and then saying, okay, how does this serve me? So I've stopped sending out any information that would influence anybody, because everybody creates their own reality anyways. So I don't want to, my grandchildren, I'm not sending, it's like everyone has a mind and can create, well, we're all creators, and how we want the reality to be. So I keep thinking, I want to play in the fifth dimension. Yeah, I can go to the third, whatever. But I'm choosing to be more and more grateful and knowing what a blessing, because nothing's going back to normal, which is not necessarily bad.
I love it. I think this is one of the huge invitations we've all received. And I no longer want to call it a lesson. I'm calling it an invitation, which we can respond. Yeah?
Yeah.
So thank you for being here. And most of the people who interact in my reality are people who are incredibly dedicated to personal growth, to spirituality, to understanding the multiverse, understanding their own multidimensionality. And we're a small group. We're a small group on the planet, but we're here.
We're here. And it's interesting. And Anastasia, I want to thank you, because my last name is Lehman, and how I know Anastasia is through Shauna Home. And so I always get her emails. I'm like, Shauna's a friend also. And so it was just no accidents that I'm online. So thank you. And thank you, Anastasia, for sending that.
All right, we're very happy to see you. But you are Cal. Would you like to tell us how you like to be called?
Cheryl. You can call me Cheryl. When I go on to different sites, I don't automatically like to put my name out there for whatever reason.
Okay.
My email address is correct, but it's Cheryl.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, and we're glad you're here. And we're glad that Anastasia somehow was part of the flow of having you arrive here. That's beautiful. Okay, so now I'm going to mute Cheryl, and I'm going to unmute Anastasia/David. I don't know whether David's going to want to speak, but there you are, Anastasia, honey. She is not David Foyle, but that's okay. She's Anastasia Townsend. Now I'm going to I've unmuted you. Okay, you're not unmuting. Now you are. No. All right, hands off the wheel. Okay.
Okay, got it. Yeah, just it told me to unmute, like it popped up a window when you did that, so I thought I had to push it. So, yeah, I'm on David's computer because he started the whole meeting, and yeah, so that's how come my name's not up here. So I'm Anastasia, and oh gosh, we're David's here actually too. You can say hi.
Hello.
So yeah, we're pretty stabilized for the most part. Yeah, we get little, little things coming in and subtle things. Our move was big. We just did a move, and that was big, and it took some, time to like settle that, and things are still sorting themselves out, but otherwise it's pretty stable. And it's all the, we've been in the class that you've been doing for what, it's been a couple rounds now, and the meditations have been just, gosh, I mean, looking for words that really describe what, really solid. They really have helped so much. And we've always had good meditations, but so far, I know once or twice a day we're meditating to, and these are active meditations. So
Yeah.
the inner, right, yeah. And I'm learning in my body how I felt really now have a sense of, oh wow, I've really been trapped in my own energy field, and this has been by design. And now I'm having the opportunity to feel those edges and know that there's a way to start to put it in alignment or like organic order, I guess, to get my flows back, to get flows at all. Maybe haven't really even had them this lifetime, and start feeling a flow of energy that is a lot more complex. And I feel there's a sense of true freedom in that, no matter what's going on in the world, that is where the actual freedom is. And dealing with aspects of shadow, a lot of us have been at this for a really long time, so we're like, well, I've dealt with all of that, right? No. No, actually there's physics to this. There's this is mechanics to this that are not what we've been told, not what we've been taught. I've had a really good teacher. So it's like everything we know and way more. So here we go. And I'm so excited about this, because it being the science of spirituality and science as I've always felt it should be,
Yeah.
They're finally blending, and I love that, because it's you know, the woo that you can't, that's been so hard to talk about. Now we actually can talk about it, and we have a way to describe it.
Well, thank you for that, because one of the things that I think is really interesting for me, because you've known me for a long time, is I'm a knower, I'm an experiencer. On occasion, I can be pushed to being an explainer, but it is not my favorite role, because I have so embodied and integrated and lived all this information since I got here that I just, it's like, okay, it's taken me a long time, a ridiculously long time, to understand that what I know and experience isn't what everybody else knows and experiences. I'm like, how could that possibly be? That's not, come on, right? Well, where we're at now is I still don't have to do the explaining. I'm just lining things up so that the explaining is happening in such a gorgeous way with a consortium of information and being and intelligence that I'm completely plugged into. I was like, great. I don't want to explain it. I just want to know it and experience it. Go, explain it. And so this has been a surprising development in my life, because I like, and it's coming at a perfect time, I think. I think the timing is astonishing. So I feel very privileged and very honored and very grateful to just continue to be a knower and experiencer, and to be curious, and like, I always wanted answers and explanations for me, but I didn't want to be in the business of explaining to other people beyond a certain point. So we're all in this kind of stretch, and what is curious, what's exciting us, what we have to be grateful for. Like Cheryl, I have an incredible amount to be grateful for, not the least of which is this community. Okay, it's amazing. Thank you for that, because it's a really amazing, wonderful living lessons thing that we're doing together in our own individual and collective ways. It's really beautiful. I live in a very calm, beautiful place in the middle of a city, one of the biggest cities in the country. I look out at beauty every day. I have the gift of time. So I'm up with the birds, and I'm doing my, meditation and all the asking of questions and getting answers and information, and doing now a lot of what I feel are biological physics applications. I will use that terminology, biological physics application. And that's part of what we're learning in the coursework that I'm stewarding, putting together, organizing, and delivering. Okay, so David, what would you like to say? Because you're coming at this from, I'll unmute, you're coming from a different experience base than Anastasia. And we're grateful that you're always holding the man space in the group. I love it. Okay, so let me unmute you and go ahead and share.
Hi. Yeah, I would say my experience coming into this has been from a different perspective, and I think mostly that has to do with being a man and being raised very boyish, and just not really getting until fairly recently what the feminine energy really is and about, and how how to integrate that into my life. That's been a big part of this experience in the last, I don't know, 5-10 years. So
You're also your education.
from the engineering standpoint, I love having an explanation. Like, I've never really considered spirituality and physics separate, but I knew that they were disjointed severely. And I think that
I'm sneezing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, I definitely see, get the sense of strong long-term energy is like hindering our ability to understand and see what is around us and how to access ourselves, and again, by design. And so getting to experience this practice, the meditations are amazing. Like they spark new things inside me that I get to experience and play with. And it's just some of the most exciting experiences I've had, and the openings I've experienced just in the last couple of years just continue on, and the peace and self-centered and sense of calm I get to experience now. You know, all of the triggers I had growing up were tapping into me and definitely controlling me in certain ways. So much of that is just silenced or so significantly muted. I get to step out and experience that, observe it, and then do what I want with it rather than be pushed around by it. So those are some really significant changes in how I manage myself and my life and my reality. And so, yeah, this is the work just allows me to be a reality engineer. So I like that.
Yeah, biological, mechanical instrument, right? In ways that you really wouldn't have thought about before. Would have seemed like science fiction.
It does, yeah.
Okay, so I must mute and I must blow my nose. I've been cleaning in this room. I did a thorough cleaning, but there's still dust flying around in here. And oh my God. Okay, I'll be right back. Take me 2 seconds, but I must do it. I must do it.
Cheryl, thanks for coming. It's I really appreciate it.
Yeah, welcome.
It's really cool.
We'll unmute you. Hang on a second.
There you go. Okay, now I can hear you.
Oh, it was so good, and I always read your post. And you know, there's an overlay of sisterhood, right? That I think Shauna created in a way, and information that, you know, and no, I'm thankful, and the timing is perfect. So I'd like to maybe jump in when next time you have something, or yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow we have I think something she's doing a really interesting talk around the sweetness of life, and then we have these round robin going on of I guess, I don't know, do you want to explain it, Anaiis, or maybe at some point we'll get to that. It's explaining.
Yeah, I'd love to plug into a community of like-minded people. It's with what's going on right now, you get all kinds, right? You have people that you resonate with, and then you have everyone, family, whatever, that are in a different energy or thought process. So it's nice to be able to share and just, yeah, speak about it.
I agree. Yeah.
Yes, because we are moving. We are actually ascending. And I had no interest in, wasn't even thinking about any of that, because I didn't come into this life, I believed I came in to do a different mission. Ascension was not part of my mission. Well, I got a new assignment. So what is it? How can we describe it? how can we encourage it? How can we respond to the invitation that it is to be more of who we are in such a beautiful and fulfilled way? And how can we do this without falling into illusion or because I'm, like I had always said, if I had been any one of the 12 disciples of Jesus, I would have been doubting Thomas. As like, I need proof, I need validation. I'm sorry, right? That would have been me, still me. So we're learning how the validation comes now to each of us in the extraordinary creative intelligence that meets us as individuals where we are on our journey and supports us where we are on our journey as individuals, at the same time empowering us to be part of the collective that is really opening up more and more space for this invitation to be received and responded to in a very gentle way. And I think the unblending, some of you may be familiar with this, the unblending of having to step out of the space of healer and hands-on healer, 30 years plus, right, all over the world, step out of that space. Okay, it's like, all right, I'll step out. Step somewhat out of the space of teacher. Okay, I'll step out. Step more into the question of how do I get to be in relationship in this whole new experience that I didn't even have any interest in. Really, for a number of reasons. Not because it isn't fabulous and interesting, but because it's just like, yeah, right? So I think the unblending is this beautiful, in a way it's acceptance. I feel some of it is acceptance of, okay, I'm agreeing to step back and step into this entirely beautifully orchestrated brand new space of intelligence, which is physics, it is emotional energy, it is mental energy, it does function and co-create at the atomic, molecular, biochemical, cellular level, and that is how we live that information. It's how we embody that information. And then in this process that we're in, it's how we share this information as frequency broadcasters, which for me is a gorgeous new development. And that was what I had to step out of as a hands-on healer, because I had to let go to let something bigger come in. Like, it wasn't fair for me to limit the possibility of what's possible because I had certain ideas. And believe me, my ideas were pretty unlimited. But I had to just say, okay, this is so much bigger and so beautiful. And I had experience with this in such a unique, many times, many ways. And here I am, just in awe, in wonder, grateful, gobsmacked, and really more and more curious as this other part of me sort of comes in is, well, what are the physics of this? What's the biochemical truth of this? How do we engage our DNA as conscious beings? How do we engage the gift of bioregenesis as conscious beings? What active participation is required of us to unblend, to let go of the things that don't serve? Having been spent enough time and energy in this environment to be aware and see the things that no longer serve. Do you know what a gift that is? You know how many people have no recognition in their lives of what no longer serves them? Lots and lots of people. So it's that incredible gift of, okay, I can recognize what no longer serves. I can engage the shadow work so that I am in sovereignty. And I can say to the shadow, I know you've been master of ceremonies for what's no longer served, but you're out of a job. I'm not going to pay you anymore with my living light quantum. You're out of work. Now, look at the beautiful, intelligent creation of the outpicturing of that. Right now, we're living it. Everybody's out of work, except the nurses and the doctors and the trash collectors and the cleaners and the truly nuts and bolts, right? That allow us to continue to generate and co-create a hologram that we can all be somewhat comfortable with recognizing as familiar. At the same time, we are feeling how different. Stunning, stunning. So that unblending, to relax into that and trust it when we've lived for eons in this particular 3D construct, unable to do either of those things. Relax. Okay. So, and I feel part of what I'm experiencing is how I'm unblending and letting go of those things which are in the way of the flow of relaxation and trust. Moment to moment. Like, bye-bye. Okay. So I think this is a valuable conversation for us to take away from this and move forward, which we're all doing anyway. But with even more curiosity about what's happening and what we're able to notice and see and feel and hear. And how does this grow us? How does this serve us? How does it prepare us for the much more expanded version of our multidimensional self? Doing things that really, as the physics catches up, or we catch up to the physics, I think is more like, what choices do we have there? Okay. So what I wanted to share with you is a couple things. In the last 2 days, I've become aware as an experiencer and knower that this COVID organism, the virus, has mutated again. And it's going to continue to mutate because of the unblending process. Because it's another way of refined filters. So that, for those of us who have done this work in a really kind of committed and dedicated way, and as we've been able to tolerate messy and vulnerable and imperfect and what the heck, and really, we've had to tolerate a lot of that in ourselves, in relationship to family and friends, as they're on their own journey, and a lot of that going on. Here we are, again, opening into, I don't know. I would like to know. I've never had that experience. I would like to experience. I've never had a satisfactory explanation. I would like a good explanation. Yeah. So we're in that space of just putting out that vibration, that frequency. And as we're people who've done so much of this work, we are now living embodiments of that frequency. And just by breathing and walking around and a little bit of intention, we're able to share that. And we don't really have to go anywhere. We don't even have to interact with other people. I mean, we can, but I would like you to be aware that you are broadcasting this like the sun shines. It is just happening. And it is being broadcast to your grass, to your trees, to your birds, to your raccoons, to your whatevers, the plants, the animals. They are picking up this information, and they are also in transformation and connection. One of the things that Shona and I have in common is a relationship with bees, with honeybees. And they taught me so much.
Me too. Me too.
Thank you, right? They teach you so much because they function in our world in exactly that way. They touch everything, curious about everything. Their embodiments are able to take in the information that is pollen, that is the seeds of life, and move it around and put it here, put it there, and put it here, put it over there, and then make honey from that information. Yeah? And they share the information in so many ways, not the least of which. So you could think of the way that you are broadcasting scalar wave now as a kind of a translation of what bees do, which is you have collected your living seed pollen, your quanta light from here and there and here and there and there and here, and you've brought it back to your hive, and you're sharing it with your sister and brother bees, and you have learned how to make honey, and you're part of making honey, not only for the human collective, but for the rest of the multiverse. And that honey is expressed. Okay? Our DNA is the honey. Yes, it is. So, while this virus is mutating, an experience I had yesterday in relationship to the information that the virus is carrying is I'm mutating. Here's that coded information from my RNA. I am going to share it with you right now. And I sat while that exchange happened, and I felt what I felt physically and went through all kinds of, processing the information. And then I went to my DNA and braided it in such a way that I could take that new information about the mutating virus, work it through my atomic, molecular, cellular, biochemical. And today, I'm broadcasting that new information coding into the collective. Because the DNA, the human DNA, is not going to be lost. It's too precious, it's too priceless. So each of us now is doing our grading. We are really collecting all this information. And the honey is what goes with us in the ascension process. Whether or not we're able to do it in body or whether we do it in bardo, doesn't matter. The honey is what we are taking with us, and it will be shared with the multiverse. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about as a way of Really, yes, enjoying the sweetness of life. I'm doing that talk in combination with a community of people, type 2 diabetes, who are needing maybe some opportunity and invitation to look at how diabetes, type 2 diabetes, where does that, what happens with that at the DNA level, and how we're in an opportunity to choose to change that by some very simple choices that we make, and how some of us as spiritual warriors are on mission to disempower the pharmaceutical industry by choosing to heal ourselves without their medications. And that's an incredible challenge, right? It's not for the faint of heart. It's not. But there will be some who will do this. And in the process of doing it, they will be able to broadcast that, and to be able to broadcast the support, a collective support. If you choose this and you understand the mechanics and the physics, it's not that complicated. You can do this. All right? So now I'm going to get quiet and unmute folks, and we can go a little bit deeper into this if we would like. All right, let me unmute you. Let me do the hosty thing. Okay. Okay, David and Anastasia, I'm going to try one more time to unmute you.
We're good. We're good.
All right, yes, see that you're good. Okay. That was kind of an explanation, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's a good one.
As it turns out, when you do give an explanation, they're really, really good. We really like them. No.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, so with the newest mutation of the virus, would that also mean that you would be bringing out a new essence, since you've felt it? And no? So
That's a great question. So let me explain it.
It is.
So in terms of DNA activation and in terms of who I am in the multiverse, I am a being who has arrived here with 48 strands of DNA activated. And the essences, there are 49 essences. There is an essence that carries the information at a frequency level. And just like you can play 88 keys on the piano, yeah, and you play those different keys and you come out with a different sound. So the 49 essences that come through my body are now in a place where they can carefully and gently, let's play this little tune. Let's use these essences. Let's use these sound and light and information to bring information to a particular situation. I'm not the only person doing this. So we have an association with NES, NES Health. They are also producing infoceuticals that carry information and frequency in water, in using water. Different from my essences, absolutely complementary. So we are, we're holding space for the arrival of collective consciousness to meet us where we are. Oh, thanks, Anastasia. And bring a response to the invitation to self-heal. So all of my experience as a healer and more, dissolving cancerous tumors, building stem cells, creating stem cells in situations where amputations were going to happen, all of that information is part of my DNA, and that information has been coded into the essences because it's easier now. The mail system is still working. We can send someone a bottle of an essence. They can get it. I can no longer run around the world right now, except in dream time. In daylight hours, I can no longer, at least for now, have the freedom and meet with people, freedom to meet physically. And so I got information on things kind of going this way. I mean, the essences, that process began in 2017, 2018. But knowing that I would not be doing hands-on, touching people, that information came to me in July, August of last year. So I've had time to pivot and to reorganize my. I hope that answers your question, Michelle. The essences, 49, and I'm learning, I'm being guided on how to combine them. If we need to go beyond that, I'm sure I will be given how to go beyond that. But between what's in the bottles and what I'm personally broadcasting as my scalar wave, which is global, I think we're good. And the object of the essence is to ignite an individual's own DNA biochemical system to respond with remembering what does it take to be whole, healthy, and free. Yeah, that's what this is about. Okay?
So I guess one of the ways I've thought about the essences is when there's like you have moved yourself or moved your ARPs, particles, whatever, in your DNA, realignment. I've kind of thought of it as these also making that same, like.
Absolutely. They're keeping up. They're adapting. Right. They're joined to that information base.
Yeah. So I notice it when, because I've been with you through this, co-creation or this creation. And I've noticed that in the essences myself. Sometimes, I just keep applying until I know that I'm also going to be able to make that myself. And it gives me the support to do it. So that's invaluable.
Yeah, that is what's happening, because as you know, when we did this process together, I encoded that information in its own information domain.
Right.
And that information domain is aligned with my own organizational intelligence and experience. And so it is living. It is living information. It is not
information.
It is not static, and it is not simply aligned with me as an individual. So it will continue.
So,
it will.
So I think that for me answers the question really well. Hopefully for Michelle too. That piece of
it does. It does.
Yeah.
And I also would like to say with that, with the gold flow, still, I mean, because now I've had that one bottle for almost a year, and it's still highly potent. I mean, several weeks ago, I had that ocular cellulitis flare up again. I put that on, gone. This great. I mean, did that, of course, with combination with the meditation, but I mean, this stuff is awesome. I love it.
We have someone joining us. Yeah,
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
because it's meant to serve everyone at this particular juncture.
Mm-hmm.
And Anastasia, you know how I'm chomping at the bit. It's like, oh, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, by my calculations, right?
Yeah, yeah, understandably so. Coming from your perspective, very much. We're trying to keep up. I'm running, but it's working.
Well, the good news is that it's independent of where I am in my time flows now. That's why they're in bottles. Why the information bottles and in water, because it's connected to me. I can just go, I don't have to think about it anymore. Although I know yesterday when I was encoding my DNA and encoding new information about the mutation of the virus into the atmosphere, that will also be updated in every essence that's in a bottle here, because they're all around me.
Right, right. And here, because they're connected, you know, all of what I have it, and wherever they are, it's the same thing. And I just wanted it to be clear, this is something I've always been aware of, and I was hoping, yeah, that explanation would really help. So thank you.
It's a great question, because as me from this side of it, why would I bother explaining that?
Right, right. But you wouldn't, but it was a great question, Michelle. It was a great question.
I really wouldn't bother. If somebody asked me, I wouldn't bother.
Right, right, right. I know, and there's so much of that, and it's good. You know, we have some experience and you know, over the years of what all this is. So I think it helps.
Yeah, and now, you know, I'm into the new experiencing, knowing part of the physics of this ascension journey. What does it look like when a angular rotation of particle spin, where the information that constructs a reality at any level, from the tiniest level to the macrocosm, what happens when that little shift occurs, and how do we stay in relationship and make these tiny little micro movements, because it is these tiny little micro movements that are moving us into alignment with these multiple metagalactic stations of consciousness, which we will then access and are accessing now. So the particle physics aspect of this is fascinating to me. I've always been incredibly interested in particle physics and quantum and string theory and all those things. And so now we're having a moment where yesterday, right? Because stuff is, I've been dematerializing stuff. It's like, I know I'm practicing for the ascension because I'm going to choose to take my body and go, and I'm practicing small dematerialization so I don't screw it up, right? Part of me is over here, part of me, you know, I just don't, Philadelphia experiment, like, I don't want that. Okay.
Right.
I really don't want to have that experience. Tiny little things. Some, you know, like I've teleported my phone, my cell phone. I've actually dematerialized that and sent it somewhere and then had it come back to me. Had a person bring it to me. Yesterday, I mean, I was astonished. I watched a physical object. It wasn't very big. It was just a card. I dropped it, and as it was in the process of being impacted by gravity, we think gravity, and quote, falling to the floor, where I would then pick it up. It went like this and then disappeared. I watched it disappear. I'm like, oh, that was physics. Well, how do I validate that? Because I don't use drugs. I don't any psychedelics. I don't mushroom plant medicine, nothing. Right? This is all internal. How do I validate that? I went to my card deck box and I organized the cards in order of the way they're organized in the book about the cards. And I went through every card until I found the one that was missing. And I knew I had familiarity with that card and I had used it. It had shown up in a lot of my card readings. And I understood the significance of that particular card material. And then I was like, okay, oh well. I only have two ways to explain this. One is the shift in angular rotation of particle spin, which does change molecular composition and puts it in a new arrangement. Okay, that much I understand. And now I understand that I can observe that. I have experienced it. We have experienced it. Anastasia and I have experienced it quite personally. But to see it on a small scale like that and watch it happen, that's exciting. That's exciting and a little freaky. Okay, so allow yourself into this. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Thank you. Yeah, how did you know? Yeah, thank you. So just because I'm new to this group, is your thought process that our energy will all be on one planet, but because of the frequency at which people are vibrating, they'll just be in different headspaces? For, if that makes sense. I'd like to understand when you're talking about, I understand a little bit about the, materializing, showing up, not showing up, but in context to and relevance to what you're speaking of, I'd like to have a little understanding.
Okay, let me see if I can come up with a simple, clear analogy that will be something you can kind of, play with. You have a physical address right now.
Mm-hmm.
I live at 261 Walnut Lane, Philadelphia, PA 19144. I get mail here. The mail has come through the mail system process. A lot of times there's a stamp or there's some postal imprimatur on the mail. That's how it got through the system to arrive at my door. We are functioning as, this is my address. I live here. I'm also the postal system. I'm also the imprimatur on the mail, and I'm moving all of this information around, but I don't have to be conscious and know that all day, every day. I am living and expressing in many places beyond what we recognize as the three-dimensional Earth. More and more, we will experience that as we allow ourselves the freedom. We have basically, from my understanding, it's 2020. You kind of want to get cozied up to this by 2022. You want to be in relaxation and trust so you can really work with your own particular DNA template so that you're familiar with what you came in with on that template, because it is your DNA which unfolds your mission and moves you, literally moves you in position to live your mission, wherever. Okay? So I hope that answers your question. We are everywhere.
So perhaps going back to the fractals of ourselves and unlimitlessness, and it doesn't have to be necessarily just earth-based. Is that what I'm hearing you say? Okay.
Yes, in fact, the goal of the ascension journey that we're on, the opening of the gates, is so those of us who have had our consciousness in a way trapped here against our will by higher technologies developed and used by Team Dark, we have a way to exit this paradigm.
Okay. I
Okay.
like it.
Yeah, I do too.
Just saying.
Just saying. So the bioregenesis piece is our biochemistry is going to adapt via frequency and information so that we are able to exit without having to die.
Thank you.
I'm going to try for it myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with dying, but I think it would be so cool.
Yeah.
I really like the body I have right now. I really like it.
Thank you.
Okay, hope that helps.
Yeah.
All right. Elise just had an experience with her cat. And Elise, I would love you to share that because it is a validation of what we're speaking of right now.
Right. So my cat has been sick for a while because his brother died and he was missing him, and he wanted to leave, but we decided together that he wanted to stay, and I've been working with him, and it's been really interesting. And twice this week he was there and I blinked and he was gone. And then I was like, wait a minute, did I turn half a second? Like I blinked for a second and he was gone. And then I was like, what the hell happened? And I thought he left the planet. And then I'm looking around and he was in the other bedroom. Also, I've noticed differences in the animals, like we were talking about earlier. The birds are chirping more. I'm hearing them at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not sleeping a lot, but I'm resting. I'm doing some repair work with my body. I'm repairing his body because he's had some seizures. He came from a feral family. And it's been a real interesting process. Also, with the energy of fear that's in the planet right now, it's really taught me to not be in fear. And I just want to share that story with Sunny. When my little orange cat Sunny died, it really kind of came out of nowhere. And I come from this Christian-based family, and my brother was real Christian. He came to my house to visit. And I was doing massage, and he never took part of it. But one night he got on my table, and my cat jumped on him, on his heart. And it really changed my brother. And the validation that I have is from my sister-in-law, who told me that. A week later, my cat died suddenly. And I woke up in the middle of the night in this sleep mode. I heard him climb out of the litter box. It sounded different. It was like, something's wrong, get up. I got up and he was paralyzed. And what happened was his little heart threw a blood clot and it paralyzed his back legs. And I panicked. And I didn't bubble myself up, and I didn't trust. I just knew and he didn't seem like he was in pain. He just kind of laid there and he looked at me, and I knew something was wrong, because when he lays out, he lays splayed out because he was flat, but he laid on his side. When I tried to get him to stand up, he couldn't get up, right? And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I rushed him, and the trauma that he went through, and when I look back at it, I might have been able to fix him, but I just didn't have that skill center yet, right? But as time went on, I had him put down, and I was right there with him. And it just broke my heart, and it broke Wolfie, my other cat's heart too. And then one day I was telling Anaiis about it, and she said, what if he came in? And I was telling him how he laid on my brother's heart. And his mission, his soul mission, was to come in and take that burden off my brother's heart. And that's how he gave up his life. And when she first told it to me, of course, I want proof. The conspiracy theorist in me is going like, oh, fuck that, that's crazy. You know, and I had to go into meditation for myself. And I was just, because his physical left, but he kept coming back and visiting me. You know, and he's like, that's right. She's right. That's what I did. That's what I did. And then a couple weeks later, I'm talking to my sister-in-law, and she told me how much her husband, my brother, has changed. That he's just a totally different person. So what an amazing experience that I'm having with these animals. you know, and the beautiful thing that you said to me about working with Wolfie was, you said next time when the opportunity presents, maybe you'll have a different choice. So when Wolfie was about to leave the planet, there you were, you kind of appeared to me on another level. And you're like, okay, you got another choice. What are you going to, because I immediately go into fear. You know, when we see animals or people that we love, we go into that and I'm like, nope, not going there. Right? Because I thought I've conquered my fears, you know? And so I was like, okay, not going there. Centered to my heart, pulled him to me. He was literally having a heart attack. I pulled him on top of me and I calmed him down. And then I put him aside on me. And I said, do you want to leave right now or do you want to stay? I'll help you. Right? And I didn't have any essences at the time, you know, so I just got, and I was playing these Tibetan singing bowls, frequency, 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 right? And I was on that solfeggio frequency, man. And I've been playing it a lot after that experience, and it's really helped with the energies. And he calmed down, and the next thing you know, I felt this, my hands get real hot. And I saw this big ball of energy, kind of golden white, and it was going into him. And that's, you know, happened last week, you know, so yeah, there's been some really cool things happening. My body's going through a lot. I know my DNA is changing. I'm having some, thank God for these essences, because I'm so piling them on me. And I've noticed when I'm doing the light meditation, liquid light meditation, sometimes afterwards, I'm feeling things like in my root chakra, you know, and I'm feeling things in the back of my head and I'm in my brain. And that also came up on the Anaiis scan too, that there's some things going on with my brain. And I stopped kind of using those essences and kind of switched to yours. And it's been really helping me. I actually, in the middle of the night, I was up mostly all night, but I feel really rested because I've been meditating and working with the essences, and I was putting it on places of my body because I'm having this issue right here where it's like a radiating pain. It was really intense last week or a week or so before the essences came, but when I'm now applying directly in those spots, and it's really helping out a lot. So maybe you could explain a little bit about what, for the newbies, about what's going through, explain about what's going on with the body right now as we're ascending.
So to get to through these rotations so that we can be on a different space-time vector, that's what we have to do. Ascension is moving ourselves onto a different space-time vector. Now, that's a natural ability when you're unlocked from the 3D construct and all of the obstruction to being able to do that has been removed. So there's a diagram that's in the class group. Thank you, Anaiis, for posting it, where you can see that the Cathara grid of the 3D construct is angled this way. And we are having to do from left to right these very micro adjustments to get ourselves vertically aligned. Yeah, that might be hard to see, but yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it might be really hard to see.
You can see in the orange, there's two Cathara grids. One is angled, as you can see, to the left. And that is a Team Dark mechanical manipulation that all of the 3D planet is in. It's locked. And so the work that we're doing, and that I'm helping to steward in, is how to get aligned with the organic divine blueprint Cathara grid, which is the blue in the background. And we have to make these very careful so we don't break ourselves. Don't break yourself. Just getting those two things realigned, because that orange thing off to the right means that every person born into the 3D construct has that as a genetic mutation. And so working with our DNA and working with these mechanics that we're learning, we are clearing those mutations. This goes back to your time of conception. That's when this gets installed. And then gradually, You clear and shift, clear and shift, clear and shift, clear and shift, clear and shift. When that becomes aligned, then all of your energetic and spiritual bodies, which function on many dimensions, come into alignment. Yeah? Okay. That's my explanation.
That was very well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Very well
Yeah.
done.
Thanks, Anastasia, because, you know, in class, I give you these diagrams. It's like, who knows what they're looking at?
It's really hard for me because I don't have the kind of mind that you guys have. So when I look at those pictures and everything, I don't have engineering. I don't have it's really, really difficult for me, the technical aspect of that. But I just keep forging ahead, and I'm like, well, eventually I'm going to get it. You know,
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood how difficult it is, because
you know,
yeah,
and sometimes I want to give up, and it's just like, you know, I'm a more visual, you know, like I want to see it. I can see it. That's why I like the live. And by the way, I cleared my schedule this week so that I could be in the last class and the technical class, because I know it's really important for me to see it on some level. It was really awesome how I asked for that to happen, and then boom, my boss asked me to take care of her mother on a day that I wasn't supposed to. And then I went, oh, by the way, I'd like to, she knows I'm taking a class. She doesn't know what it is. And I said, I'd like to ask to switch my timeline, you know, from evening today, because there's this technical class and I'm not good with technical and I really need to see it in real time. And so could I switch my hours on Wednesday? And she goes, absolutely. Would you like to switch it on Tuesday as well? I said, well, you know, that's fantastic. But I did tell her that it was going to be recorded. But when I explained to her that I was visual and that I needed to see it, because I am not technical at all, you know, and she said, well, would you like to have Tuesday early shift as well? And I was like, so
Yeah.
yay.
Yeah, yay.
You know, but, and whether or not it doesn't matter whether I'm going to eventually get it. You know, I'm just,
Well,
but it's overwhelming. It's just
here's
overwhelming.
the thing, honey, it's
First.
overwhelming for me.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
It can't be overwhelming for David because he's an engineer.
No, it's overwhelming for David. It's
it-
over.
It is. It
Good,
is.
I don't feel so bad
Yeah,
now.
This.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
It might require an explanation.
We're gonna talk at 2 o'clock, but go ahead, ask it.
All right. So I understand what's going on in the world now, and people are resurfacing in my life from other spiritual groups per se that I've been involved in right now, looking to heal their shadow and looking to understand more the ascension process. And, you know, there's this, I'd like to help them, but there, again,
Invite them to my class, darling. It's really simple.
Yeah, I tried that.
Oh, okay. They don't want to. They don't want to. It's a choice.
Exactly. So that was that, and therein lies my question. You know, in when people are caught in the shadow, and perhaps you could maybe expound a little bit on that, and collectively what's going on in the world with that, is that sometimes they don't even see it, they don't even understand it. And it's just like Anastasia said earlier, we've been working on the shadow a really long freaking time. And then when it pops up, I'm like, wait a minute, I thought whoop, there I am. So what's, you know, I'm bound, I mean, I know I'm in this world, but not of it. I know I'm going up, but there's this part of me that's still here going, how can I help right now? How can I help these people right now? How can I help them see? You know?
Okay, so that's because you're still here.
Okay.
And part of the dynamic in this scenario, which is full of mental body, emotional body, and physical body program designs, one of those programs is to be the giver.
So the tilt,
You're in the tilt.
I'm in the tilt, and I'm more tilted than straightened up.
Yeah, and they're also in the tilt.
Okay.
And in the tilt, there's no co-resonance. There's no co-resonance in the tilt, because
That might be where the struggle is.
that's the struggle, because the struggle generates quanta. It generates the release of living light energy in conflict, in tension. an obstruction.
Right.
And that is what this feeds off of.
So the conflict for me right now is, you know, look what's going on with our country. Look what's going on with our president. And is our president a good guy? Is he a bad guy? What's going on? How do we help him? How do we, you know, and I'm like, you're shaking your head no. What does that mean? He's playing on Team Dark, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
Well,
Focus.
it's
Yeah,
bringing
really,
yourself back.
it's that the whole class and the program is about all the components of doing this gradually in a way where your perceptions change, your relationships change, your understanding about yourself change, your relationships to everything around you shifts and comes into source alignment.
Right. Would you call what's happening on the planet right now the false light construct? Because some of the things that our president did has been good. Would you call
it? Anaiis, what have I been calling it since 2016 when Gaia announced she was dividing? What have I been calling it?
False light. Yeah.
Like, hello?
Yeah. And that was the conversation I had with one of my friends today about that, you know, and where we're choosing to put our focus right now. You know, and how the Team Dark is so intricately manipulative that it almost makes you feel like you're doing something good, but you're really not. Does that make sense?
You're not embodying that truth yourself. You're not embodying it yet fully. You're embodying it a little bit in the mental body. You may be embodying it a little bit in the emotional body, but you're not in full embodiment of it. And because you're not in full embodiment of it, they're not going to hear what you have to say.
You're saying I'm not embodying what?
Yeah. You're not embodying this alignment.
Okay.
Because you don't have it yet.
Right.
So every time you're in a situation which calls for being the embodiment of this alignment and you're over here,
right,
it generates conflict, it generates confusion, it generates disappointment, it generates why aren't they listening to me, all of that.
Well, I think I might be a little up there a little bit more because I'm not feeling those things.
You were totally out of alignment.
Yeah.
Listen to what I said, which you could not hear it because
Okay.
in the recording,
yeah.
What I said was, you're not fully living this embodiment yet. You're living part of it in your mental body, like you got the idea.
Yeah.
You're living part of it in your emotional body. Sometimes you can feel the feeling, right? You're living part of it in your atomic molecular body because you're doing things to make these little shifts.
Right.
But until you get to be like, kind of like here, the frequency that is your scalar wave is not co-resonant with the information.
Is that the final piece of my shadow being healed then when it finally?
Well, your shadow is going to prevent you from doing this because it is a team.
I got it.
Yes.
I got it.
It'll do everything it can. It doesn't want to lose its job.
I got it.
It doesn't want to starve. But that is what this is you are fired and I am not. Yeah, you're done. You're done. I'm done. We're finished. We have no more relationship to each other than I get to look back on you and recognize all the ways in which shadow shows itself. And that we do without judgment.
Right.
We do without judgment. Please.
Yep.
Please.
Got it. Ooh.
Yep. That's been my experience so far in what you're describing. Yep.
Yeah.
And the more it shifts, subtle, the more I notice in my hologram, it's changing. So, and I think we do get some momentum here.
We do. We get to the point, there's a certain point at which you're going to have enough. You're going to have reclaimed enough of your quanta that's been trapped in shadow to just go, oh, I got enough now. Boom.
I echoed. That was a cool effect.
Yeah.
Boom.
Kind of hits home the relax and trust piece too, because that's part of, you know, it's just part of everything of like, well, am I supposed to be doing something more right now to help wake people up? You know, when I got so much damn shit to do myself, forget about it. You know, it's like,
Who was it? There was some guy that said something. It was something like, don't worry about the beam in your own eye, in your neighbor's eye. Don't worry about the beam in your neighbor's eye. Pay attention to the splinter in your own eye. Who was it, that guy that said that?
yeah, wasn't that somebody named the Master Jesus or something like that?
We kind of, you know, paid some little modicum of attention to him, but not in the correct way. But I think he said something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a preview. This conversation is meant to be a preview. It's meant to be an opening. It's meant to be something that serves us all in the moment. And of course, it's an invitation to come and join us in the work that we're doing. Of course it is. And so you're definitely welcome to do that. And I think we try to make it easy. I'm not
I would love to join you all. I have to find out more information though. I mean, I'm feeling so connected, and this is so, it's filling my heart and truths on so many levels. Yeah, so I need more information.
That's totally fair. So here's what I'm going to do. In the chat, I'm going to put my cell phone number.
Okay.
You can call me. I can explain it to you, but I can direct you to, you know, answer your questions, let you know what we're doing, when we're doing it. I am the best deal in the universe.
Yes, you are, I'm sure.
I am,
Yes,
because I've
yes.
been teaching night school for decades for free.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really? Okay, so let me put my phone number in the chat. You can give me a call. I'd be happy to share the information. You can also talk to Anastasia. She's deeply engaged with this and has been for, oh, Anastasia, seriously? We're a trinity. We are a co-creation trinity with another person, and those keep developing, which is beautiful because they shift and grow and do other things. So, so right now my cell phone is working. They haven't managed to yank that away from me yet, but the bots are active. AI is fighting back. Team Dark is fighting back.
Could you put that up again? It flashed and then.
Yes, I'm going to say it.
Okay.
267 401 0477. And I will say I have a rather busy weekend going, and a good time to speak with me would be today after, well, between 3:30 and 4:30, and then tomorrow morning, if you want to have a talk soon, between 10 a.m. and like noon, because I've got multiple events going on.
So
maybe later.
You're Pacific. You're Pacific time. She's East Coast time. So
I'm East Coast time. Thank you. I'm in Philadelphia. You are where, Cheryl?
I'm in Washington.
Okay. Yeah. So we're 3 hours different.
So 12:30 my time would be great. No, that's 3:30 yours.
yeah.
I could do that today,
Yes.
because then my next obligation isn't until we have class this evening, but I have to prepare. So I'd love to talk to you about what we're up to.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
And this is such a challenge. I mean, I remember, what was it? Because I write everything down. I have stacks of journals like this, right? The exercise that I went through where I had enough quanta thrust to take that from here to here. That was amazing. And the flows that have come in since then, and they're free to come in. There's nothing in the way. And the corrections that I have to make are now very micro, and they take nanoseconds to a few minutes. It's a beautiful thing, but it's been work. Yeah.
I can attest to that.
Yeah.
Anaiis has not let up for a second.
Uh-uh.
For a second.
Daily, 24/7, going on 31 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know, my complexion is still relatively okay. So, I have maintained my sense of humor, which I'm so grateful for. Okay, so this has gone over. I appreciate those of you who stayed for staying. And you know where to reach me, you know how to reach me, and I'm reachable. Okay?
Thank you.
You're
Talk to
so
you later.
welcome. Okay, great. Thanks, everybody. You know I love you.
Love you too.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay,
too.
bye-bye. Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.